Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bando Mui Savadana Mate Bando Mui Savadana Mate Yara Prasade Bhai Ebhavatoriya Yara Prasade Bhai Ebhavatoriya Krishna Prapti Hoy Jao Hoy Te Krishna Prapti Hoy Jao Hoy Te Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriyakya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriyakya Ana Kori Homane Asha Ana Kori Homane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttamagati Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttamagati Ye prasade pure sarva asha Ye prasade pure sarva asha Chakudana dilo ye Janme Janme Prabhu se Chakudana dilo ye Janme Prabhu se Divigana ride prokashito Divigana ride prokashito Prema bhakti jahoite avija vinasajate Prema bhakti jahoite avija vinasajate Vedegai Jaharacharito Vedegai Jaharacharito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deo More Padachaya Ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deo More Padachaya He begas gusu tribhuvana He begas gusu tribhuvana Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Vrindayai Vasudevai Priyayai Keshava Sicha Vishnu Bhakti Pradidesi Satchavachana Namaha. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namo Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Eya Vilasi Namo Namo Jetomaru Sharanaloi Taravancha Punahoi Jetomara Sharanaloi Taravancha Punahoi Kripa Kore Korotare Vrindavanavasi Morahe Avilas Velas Kunje Jehovah Nayaneri Bohosada Jugala Ruparasi Hey Hey Nive Danadaru Sakiranu Gatakuru Seva de coro de coronijadade Jina Krishna Dasekoi Hey Janamura Sri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayana Vasi Sri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayana Vasi Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Priyase Namo Namo Jani Kani Chapapani Brahma Jadi Kani Cha Tani Tani Prana Shanti Dada Shina Pade Pade Janikani Chapapani Brahma Jadi Kani Cha Tani Tani Prana Shanti Radha Shina Pade Pade Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Bo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Bo Good. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Bo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Boom. Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Vrinda Devi Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Thank you. I have a cup in the black and black bag. There's a cup. Today is our reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's also Bhishmastami. So the 8th day of the moon, and I guess the appearance day of Bhishma Day. Thank you. So I'll just sing for Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Asasata Shri Srimadis Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Asasata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Anatakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Girira Govardhan Ki Vrindavanam Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ki Gaur Premanandi all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhaktivedanta. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, chapter 9, is Bhishma Dev is given instructions to King Yudhisthira because it's the very end of the Battle of Kurukshetra, and Bhishma had a benediction that he could die at will. And so for several days he was lying on a bed of arrows. Arrows were shot through his body, and he was lying on that. So at the end, Lord Krishna, brought the Pandavas to Bhishma so that he could instruct them, because now Yudhisthira, the Pandavas had won the battle of Kurukshetra. Yudhisthira was to be installed as the king, the emperor. And so Bhishma gave them wonderful instructions, and he is the son of Ganga. So as he was lying there, Arjuna could see he was thirsty. So Arjuna shot an arrow into the ground so that it penetrated, and then the Ganga water came up as he was lying there, and he was able to drink that water. So first of all, like, how was he born, right? because his mother is Ganga, and Ganga, she resides in the heavenly planets originally, but he was the eighth son of Shantanu, because what happened was there were these Vasus, they were cursed to take birth on the earth. That's considered a great curse if you're from the heavenly planets. And then one time, Ganga Devi, she went to visit. She was, oh no, she was in Brahma Loka, and then this great king, he saw her, and the wind blew and her clothes became all disarrayed, and just from they glanced at each other, and there's many instances in the scriptures we hear about just that glance, how that attachment develops, and how just by looking into each other's eyes. And so they were, then she was cursed, Ganga, and also that king named Maha Abhishek. They then Lord Brahma said, "You guys need to go to the earth as humans as well." And she's what'd you say? Mahabish, Mahabish. Mahabish. And so she's there. Oh no, he said, but don't worry, you'll be able to do a service, because these Vasus, 8 Vasus, they were cursed to go to the earth. So you can become their mother, and then you can give them liberation, because let them take birth and then let them die really fast, and they don't have to stay on the earth. So they did that. And then so then it so happened that the ruler, his name was Pratipa, he went to the bank of the Ganga and performed austerities there. And Ganga Devi she was staying near the Ganges in a forest. And then the she saw the king. The king was engaged in meditation and austerities. And when she saw him, she sat on his thigh because his eyes were closed and everything. And he's like, the daughter in law sits on the right thigh and the daughter sits on the left thigh. So because you sat on my right thigh, you cannot I mean the wife sits on the left, wasn't it? So then you can become my daughter in law. And so when I have a son, so although the son now is going to be much younger than her, which is very unusual. So what happened was he had a son named Shantanu, and Shantanu means peaceful touch, doesn't it? Like he could just by touching could influence people. So when so then once he went there, Shantanu went to the forest on a hunting excursion. When he saw Ganga Devi, he fell in love with her at first sight, and then he asked her to marry him. She said, "Okay, under one condition, you can never question anything I do or anything I say, and you just have to totally agree." And he's so much in love with her, and she's so qualified and beautiful, and so he accepted. He said, "Okay." So then, um, what happened was I won't get into the whole curse, why those Vasus were cursed, but they had to come, and they took birth as the sons of Ganga Devi. But as soon as the baby was born, the first baby, she walked to the Ganga and she threw the baby into the river. She just drowned her newborn baby. And then Shantanu's like, he's there watching this, but he remembered he couldn't say anything. And so then, another year, she has another baby and another and another, and the same thing, 7 sons. She walked to the Ganga and just threw them in. And he was like remembering his promise the whole time. But then when he got to the 8th child, he's like, you know, like, no, don't do that. What are you doing that for? That's crazy. This is my son, and you're the mother, and the mother is the nurturer of the child. How can you throw your own babies in the water and drown them like that? And so he had violated the promise that he would never question anything she did. And so she left right away with that, because he wouldn't allow her, even physically restrained her from throwing the baby into the river. And so she just left the palace with the child, and she named him Devavrata. And she just went back to the forest where she used to live, and she lived in the forest. And there also was Sage Vashishta. So he taught the boy, Devavrata. So he taught him all about, transcendental knowledge. And then it was some 32 years later when the king, Shantanu, he went to the same forest for hunting, and he saw a very handsome boy in the river, and with his arms, he was stopping the flow of the river Ganga. And then the king thought, wow, who is this boy? How can a boy, well, now he's a man, 32 years old, how can he do that? How can he have the strength to stop the Ganga? So the king prayed to Ganga, like, please give me back my child, give me back this boy, Devavrata. So she appeared, handed over the child to him, and vanished. And so that was, she went back to the heavenly planet. So he's the son of Ganga. Now, when Devavrata, he became the he became the heir apparent to the king. But before that, King Shantanu, he went to the again, he was going out on a hunting excursion, and he smelt this musk. Like, wow, where is that fragrance coming from? It was a very strong, wonderful fragrance. And he tried to find the source of it. And then he reached the cottage of a fisherman. This fisherman, um, he had a daughter named Suchavati. Suchavati, she originally her name was Kali, and the fisherman found her in the stomach of a fish. So she had been swallowed by a fish, and so she smelled bad like a fish, and she got this name Matsya Ganga, so the fragrance of a fish. And um and so he found out where this fragrance, now she smelled like musk, because her father gave her service. He said, every day, since we're here on the bank of the Ganga, you can inherit my pious credit by giving service to the sages and by rowing them in the boat. When they want to go across the river, you can row them. So one day when she was rowing, she happened to be rowing the sage Parasara Muni. He got into her boat, and he fell deeply in love with her because of her great beauty. And then he took away that smell, the Matsya Ganda, and he gave her the smell of musk and like perfume. Her body was so perfumed for miles and miles around, one could smell that. So then it was noontime. He created, by his mystic power, a like fog, a mist. And then he had sex with her in the boat. Now, this, like, one thing, whenever we read in Srimad Bhagavatam or any of the scriptures, Mahabharata, always a child is the result of sexual union. There's always a child. And so she became pregnant, and she gave birth to Srila Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord, the author of the Vedas and of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so because Parasara Muni, he was a great sage. So then the child, though, he immediately left. Like, he just grew up miraculously, and he told his mother, if ever you need me, just call my name and then I'll come. And so and that's Srila Vyasadeva. And so he left and he just performed austerities as well and meditation. And then whenever she needed him, she would call his name. He would just appear there right away. But it was all a secret. Like, her virginity was remained intact. That was a blessing Parasara Muni gave her. And so, Satyavati, when she returned, in what happened was, as usual, she returned to the fisherman's cottage, and after this incident, and continued to live with him. So then, Shantanu came and found the source of that musk aroma, and then he also fell in love with her at first sight. And he asked the fisherman, "Can I please marry your daughter?" Now, imagine a fisherman, how elated he would generally be that, my daughter, I mean, what future does she have being a fisherman's daughter? And here the king, who's very um, endowed with great qualities and heroism, and he's handsome and influential and wealthy and everything. Like, wouldn't any fisherman be like, wow, like, yes, incredible? But he said, no, she can marry you, but only on the condition that her son will become the next king, because it's tradition that the eldest son becomes the king when the father leaves home, and takes vanaprastha or sannyas, and that the or that he dies, that the eldest son becomes the king. And so he's there, but I already have a son. I already have an elder son. He said, then no, you can't marry my daughter. That's the condition, that only if her son can become the king. So King Shantanu, he became quite depressed about that. He was morose that he was not able to marry, because his wife Ganga, she left him, and so he was feeling quite sad. And then Devavrata, he's like, he could tell his father was despondent and depressed. So he asked the ministers, "Tell me, what's the matter with my father? Why is he morose like this?" And so they told him, because he's morose because the fisherman denied him the hand of his daughter, Satyavati. And he said, really? Then he went himself, without telling Shantanu or anything. He went to the fisherman's cottage and he said, please, please allow your daughter to marry my father. And so he said, well, I told him he could marry her only if her son can become the next king. And he's there, that's fine. I don't mind. I'm not attached to being the king. Her son can certainly be the king. That's completely all right with me. And he said, yeah, but then what about, you say your son, you won't be the king, but then your son, the grandson of King Shantanu, he'll want to claim the right to the throne. And he said, no, 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 I'll tell you what, I won't even ever get married, so I won't even have a son. And he's there, really? For a Kshatriya not to get married? Like, he's going to be a brahmachari for life? And it's like unheard of. And so then the fisherman agreed, okay, if you really are promising to that you won't have a son, because we know the intrigues of the palace, like how there's so much, so much that goes on, and that your son will probably try to gain. So then Devavrata, he told his father, and what happened when he took that vow, when he said, you know, that I promise I never will do it, I'll never get married, the demigod showered flowers on the scene, and it was declared that he would be known as Bhishma. And Bhishma means that one who has taken a horrible oath, because for a Kshatriya, it's a horrible oath. And um, and so later on, so Satyavati, she also had had son. She had three. Um, her son was Vichitravirya and Kartavirya Arjuna, and she had these sons, and um, and what happened was Bhishma went to get a wife for his brother Vichitravirya, and he found these wonderful three sisters, Ambalika, and what is it? Ambika, and he kidnapped them and brought them so that Vichitravirya could marry them. But one of them was Ambika, Amba. She's like, you wretch, I don't want to marry Vichitravirya. I already gave my heart to, of all people, Shishupal, wasn't it? Oh, Shalva. And I'm already I guess she was rather betrothed to him, and I'm going to marry Shalva. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah. And Richard Chaviri said, yeah, I don't want to marry someone who doesn't want to marry me. So take her back to Shalva. So he took her back, and Shalva's like, no way, I'm not taking you back. You were touched by another man. Bhishma took you. You'll have to marry him. I'm not going to marry you. So she was really outraged. And she told Bhishma, you have to marry me. And he's like, no, I've taken a vow. Remember, I took a vow that I'll never get married, and I'm upholding my vow. So she was so angry, and she went to his martial arts guru, Lord Parshuram, incarnation of the Lord, and told him. And so Parshuram told Bhishma, you have to marry her, because no other man's going to accept a woman who is touched by someone else. And so he told Bhishma, and Bhishma said, "No, I'm not going to do it." He disobeyed his guru in to uphold his vow. And Parshuram fought with him, but Bhishma won. So then she was left, and she was so angry. She said, "I am going to um, become a man in my next life so that I can kill this Bhishma." And she actually did Shikandi, right? Shikandi, and later on in the Battle of Kurukshetra. So she performed severe austerities with this in mind. We could see how deep, like, revenge is within the heart, that we want to get back at our enemy and we want to see them suffer. And so she took birth, and as a man named Shikandi, and in the battle, but Bhishma knew this, and he said, I'll never fight with anyone who turns their back in the battle, who doesn't want to fight with me, or with a woman. So he wouldn't, even if she attacked him, he wouldn't fight back to Shikandi. And was that her name on the battle? It was Shikandi? Uh, Shikandi. So anyway, so Bhishma, but he gave wonderful instructions in the Srimad Bhagavatam whole chapter to King Yudhisthira. And that's a little bit of this great personality. And so now we'll go on to the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And today we're reading from Majjhīla, chapter 8, text 107. So we've been hearing this very lengthy chapter, some 300 verses of the talks between the Lord and Ramananda Roy. And it's just, and it's still not over, because it's going to get more and more. This is probably the most esoteric chapter, wouldn't you say, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because there's much about Srimati Radharani and about the loving exchanges between Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani, and very intimate talks here. And and Ramananda Roy, he started off way back. This is already 107 verses, and he had started off describing Varnashram and the different varnas, different ashrams, and what's like ultimate the ultimate goal in life. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would keep saying, I know there's more, I know there's more. And even when he gets up to Radha and Krishna, Lord Chaitanya is not going to stop. He's going to keep saying, I know there's more, I know there's more. And he said, okay, well, I'm just a puppet. And what do I know? Ramananda said, but you are making me talk. What's in your heart? That's what is coming out. So here, text 107, I'll just read the English in the interest of time. Being afflicted by the arrow of Cupid and unhappily regretting his mistreating Srimati Radharani, Madhava, Lord Krishna, began to search for her along the banks of the Yamuna River. When he failed to find her, he entered the bushes of Vrindavan and began to lament. So this was like it's the previous verse leading up to this tells that he took Srimati Radharani um, within his heart because he wanted to dance with her. So he left the arena of the rasa dance and the company of all the other beautiful damsels of Raja. So at this particular time, there's many different times there was a rasa dance. So he entered and he was lamenting. So see how confidential this is, just that one verse, because first of all, you know, everyone in creation is, if they pray, they're praying to the Lord, please help me, please relieve me from my distress, please fulfill my desires, please, or glorifying Him. You are the Lord of creation, you are free of the material modes of nature, and you are able to do anything. So, how can it be the Supreme Lord is lamenting that the Supreme Lord, He actually like cries in feelings of separation and all. So, you know, like it's very esoteric. That person whom we take complete shelter of. Um, so this verse here is from the Gita Govinda, written by Jayadev Goswami, whom we heard about rather recently. So that it was two verses together, but those two. Simply by considering these two verses, one can understand what nectar there is in such dealings. It is exactly like freeing a mine of nectar. So it doesn't sound like nectar to us to enter the bushes and lament and to and he's unhappily regretting mistreating Shrimati Radharani. But these are transcendental. It says here that is a mine of nectar. So, although Krishna was in the midst of hundreds of thousands of gopis during the rasa dance, he still kept himself in one of his transcendental forms by the side of Srimati Radharani. Lord Krishna is equal to everyone in his general dealings, but due to the conflicting ecstatic love of Srimati Radharani, there were opposing elements. The progress of loving affairs between a young boy and a young girl is like the movement of a snake. On account of this, two types of anger arise between a young boy and girl, anger with cause and anger without cause. So it's like the movements of a snake because a snake doesn't move in a straight line. Snake is crooked. And so such dealings are crooked, these loving affairs. Purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. During the rasa dance, one form of Krishna was between every two gopis. But by the side of Shrimati Radharani, there was only one Krishna. Although this was the case, Shrimati Radharani still manifested disagreement with Krishna. This verse is from the Ujjvala Nilamani Sringara Veda Katana, written by Srila Rupa Goswami. When Radharani left the rasa dance out of anger and resentment, Lord Sri Krishna became very anxious because he could not see her. Lord Krishna's desire in the Rasa Leela circle is perfectly complete, but Srimati Radharani is the binding link in that desire. The rasa dance does not shine in the heart of Krishna without Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he also gave up the circle of the rasa dance and went out to search for her. When Krishna went out to search for Srimati Radharani, he wandered here and there. Not finding her, he became afflicted by the arrow of Cupid and began to lament. Since Krishna's lusty desires were not satisfied, even in the midst of hundreds of thousands of gopis, and he was thus searching after Srimati Radharani, we can easily imagine how transcendently qualified she is. So we've heard many, many warnings from Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas how Krishna's lust is not like the lust of this world. And we have no conception of it because we have no experience of it. And so we're being so much warned that don't equate this lusty desires with the lust of young boys and young girls, or even old old men and old women. Either one, right? It never stops. And so this is transcendental lust. So on hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Ramananda Roy, "That for which I have come to your residence has now become an object of truth in my knowledge." So this is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear about, and he's gone through all these 117 verses to come to this, and a lot more to come. Now I have come, Lord Chaitanya is speaking here, now I have come to understand the sublime goal of life and the process of achieving it. Nevertheless, I think that there is something more ahead, and my mind is desiring to have it. Kindly explain the transcendental features of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Also explain the truth of transcendental mellows and the transcendental form of love of Godhead. Kindly explain all these truths to me, but for yourself, no one can ascertain them. Sri Ramananda Roy replied, "I do not know anything about this. I simply vibrate the sound you make me speak. I simply repeat like a parrot whatever instructions you have given me. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Who can understand your dramatic performances? You inspire me within the heart and make me speak with the tongue. I do not know whether I am speaking well or badly." Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I am a Mayavadi in the renounced order of life, and I do not even know what transcendental loving service to the Lord is. I simply float in the ocean of Mayavad philosophy. Due to the association of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, my mind became enlightened. Therefore, I asked him about the truths of transcendental loving service to Krishna." So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya himself was a great Mayavadi with many followers, very influential at Jagannath Puri. And here's Lord Chaitanya out of his great humility, like due to his association, Sarvabhauma became a Vaishnava. And he's saying, though, that Sarvabhauma enlightened me. And then Sarvabhauma told me, "I do not actually know about the topics of Lord Krishna. They are all known only to Ramananda Roy, but he is not present here." So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told Lord Chaitanya that he should go and meet Ramananda Roy. And yeah, and that's also a very lengthy chapter, which we already finished the discussion of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya with Lord Chaitanya and the Atmarama verse included. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, after hearing about your glories, I have come to your place, but you are offering me words of praise out of respect for a sannyasi, one in the renounced order of life. Purport: Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that a mundane person, being enriched by mundane opulences, must always know that the transcendental opulences of the advanced devotees are far more important than the materialistic opulences of a person like myself. So that's a mundane person must know that. A materialistic person with material opulences should not be very proud or puffed up before a transcendental devotee. If one approaches a transcendental devotee on the strength of one's material heritage, opulence, um, education, and beauty, and does not offer respect to the advanced devotee of the Lord, the Vaishnav devotee may offer formal respects to such a materially puffed up person, but he may not deliver transcendental knowledge to him. Indeed, the devotee sees him as a non Brahmana or Shudra. Such a puffed up person cannot understand the science of Krishna. A proud person is deceived in transcendental life, despite having attained a human form, will again glide into hellish conditions. By his personal example, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains how one should be submissive and humble before a Vaishnava, even though one may be situated on a high platform. Such is the teaching of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Acharya of the world, the supreme spiritual master and teacher. Hmm. So here's Lord Chaitanya showing, even though I'm a sannyasi, he's saying that you have more transcendental knowledge than me. You are a Vaishnava and you are a transcendental personality. So I offer my respectful obeisances to you. And then very famous verse that Lord Chaitanya spoke, Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasa, Shudra Kene Anaya, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Haya. Whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi, or a Shudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. Purport. This verse is very important. Oh, it's a lengthy purport, 3 whole pages. This verse is very important to the Krishna consciousness movement. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that one should not think that because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born a Brahmana and was situated in the topmost spiritual order as a as a sannyasi, it was improper for him to receive instructions from Srila Ramananda Roy, who belonged to the Shudra caste. To qualify this matter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed Ramananda Roy that knowledge of Krishna consciousness is more important than caste. In the system of Varnashram Dharma, there are various duties for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Actually, the Brahmana is supposed to be the spiritual master of all other Varnas or classes. But as far as Krishna consciousness is concerned, everyone is capable of becoming a spiritual master because knowledge in Krishna consciousness is on the platform of the spirit soul. To spread Krishna consciousness, one need only be cognizant of the science of the spirit soul. It does not matter whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Sannyasi, Grihastha, or whatever. If one simply understands this science, he can become a spiritual master. It is stated in the Hari Bhakti Vilas that one should not accept initiation from a person who is not in the Brahminical order if there is a fit person in the Brahminical order present. This instruction is meant for those who are overly dependent on the mundane social order and is suitable for those who want to remain in mundane life. If one understands the truth of Krishna consciousness and seriously desires to attain transcendental knowledge for the perfection of life, he can accept a spiritual master from any social status, provided the spiritual master is fully conversant with the science of Krishna. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also states that although one is situated as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Grihastha, or Sannyasi, if he is conversant in the science of Krishna, he can become a spiritual master as Vartma, Pradarshaka Guru, Diksha Guru, or Shiksha Guru. The spiritual master who first gives information about spiritual life is called the Vartma Pradarshaka Guru. The spiritual master who initiates according to the regulations of the Shastras is called the Diksha Guru. And the spiritual master who gives instructions for elevation is called the Shiksha Guru. So we will continue next Saturday and Majja Leela. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Ramananda Roy and Srila Prabhupada. I guess since it's the middle of the paragraph, you can, I don't know if you can start 128. So do you want to just start from this paragraph? Or from the beginning? Okay, 128.
Govindam Adi Purusham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Paravindalayatatam Bhavatam Samasitam Purasundaram Kandar Akom Vidamaniya Iskeshashobha Govinda Adi Purusham Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusham Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusham Bhajami Angani Yasna Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Kanti Kayanti Viraganti Ananta Maya Sadhu Dara Vigrasya Govinda Adi Purusham Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusham Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusham Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusham
Namah
Vishnu Vajaya Krishna Pristaya Mutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namane Krishna Pristaya Bhakti Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namane Namaste Radhati Devi Guruvani Pacha Nivasesha Shunyavane Ashachade Sarnaya Nivasesha Shunyavane Ashachade Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadana Sivasade Gauranga Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadana Sivasade Gauranga Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadana Sivasade Gauranga Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Brahmanicharya Gachana Sivasade Gauranga Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya, Gopala Jaya, Radharamana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya looking on a rana, looking on a dragate. Nayarate, Ayarate, Rade, 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 Rade. Jai Om Vishnupad Arahant. Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Charan Kund Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Himanamai Ki Jai Srimati Vasudevi Ki Jai Samaveda Ki Jai. All glory Arpanamajanam Baba Mahatbhakti Divapanam Shaya Kairavi Chandrita Vitaranam Vijavada Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Pranamritaspadanam Saratma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Nam Atari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatraputa Dimata Smaraneda Kala Etadrashita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdai Mami Dritanihan Aninan Raga Trinadapi Sunichena Turo Rapi Sishrana Amanida Manadena Kirtaniya Sadadari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitamba Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Shre Bhavatad Bhakti Urdhai Kitwe Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Paditamam Vishmay Pamam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankajas Nitaduli Sadrasam Vajindaya Kayadam Galuda Shrudaraya Vadanam Gadgada Rudia Gira Pulaka Nichitam Pukada Tavam Nama Graneva Vishiti Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Prashaitam Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahedame Ashlisha Vapadapana Manashtumam Darshanam Marmatam Karotava Yatata Bhavadratu Lampato Mat Prananatus to Sevanaparaha. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one could chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I'm your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen to the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shikshastika ki jai.